Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to another live this morning. Hope you're having a great start to your day. I certainly am. Let me just hook up my microphone here. And we'll say hello to a few folks as they come on. Mike, you're number one today on the hit parade. Madeleine, how are you? Brahim, you're number three. Eric, you guys are always right at the top. And Andrea, Niagara Falls. Chrissy, how are you? Listening from work, she says. Okay, nice to have you on with us. And Brahim says Mike cheated. Nick from our staff, good morning. Wendy, good morning. I'll miss a few as I do this. Yalaun, how are you? Okay, there, my mic. Lisa Marie, Ron, how are you? Northern Idaho, good morning. Debbie, Sturgeon Falls, Elaine, good morning. And Fran from Orangeville, our dear friends. You guys are so great. Chantal, how are you from Ottawa? And Nellie, good morning. And Jeanette from our staff. And Judy, New Brunswick. Rachel, how are you? Susan, Cape Breton, Nova Scotia. Frances Marie. Joni, 3 Mile Lake. Sharon, Kansas. And Milika, good morning. And Milika's from Stouffville, I think. Rose, Niagara Falls. Shirley, Twin Gate, Newfoundland. And Hazel from St. John's, Newfoundland. Jose Mack from Berner. Debbie, Donna, Park Hill. And Mara from Windsor, good morning. Terry, Georgetown. I didn't mean to miss you, Kevin. Oshawa, I don't know why you're not at the top of the list. Sonia, Barbara, Nova Scotia. Kevin, we love you, buddy. Etta, and Cecilia, Shediac, Nouveau Brunswick, Beverly, Richmond Hill, Rita from Barrie, Denise, North Bay, couple more. And Ron, did I say hello to you already? Jocelyn from Baxter. Dave, Muskoka. Gary, Bolton. Rebecca, we love you. From Callender. Kevin's laughing. Kevin, you lost your weight, Anita, because Kevin used to be right at the top. And now he comes in later. I don't know. Linda Shar from Cape Breton, how are you? And Renelle from, where was that from? I missed it, Renelle. Okay, let's get going. And I feel, guys, sorry if I don't see your name. Or if I see it goes up too fast, I miss it. I always pull out my senior card, okay? Because I don't know what happens. That I want to say hello to all of you. Okay, Joanne, interstitial cystitis. Can the bladder ever be healed? Yep. It can be healed. Interstitial cystitis, very, very common in women. Very rare in men because of our anatomy. And it's often mistaken, interstitial cystitis is often mistaken for a bladder infection, except there's no bacteria. There's no infection. Doctors often will put a person on antibiotics when they shouldn't. Okay? Now, if you have a raging bladder infection, you need an antibiotic a lot of times, okay? I'm not against antibiotics. The problem is it's often like you get burning and pain. You need a urine test because if there's no bacteria, oftentimes it's interstitial cystitis. Now, here's what I've said for 1,000 years, okay? Oftentimes, when that bladder especially when it's reoccurring. It's a fungus. It's a yeast. And interstitial cystitis, I saw it many, many, many times in my days of practice. And I would make sure we started with a probiotic and antifungal. Lay off the sugar. It's amazing how that lining of the bladder can repair itself. It can. Now, doesn't happen overnight. Yeast, you never get rid of yeast quickly. It doesn't happen like that. It took a long time for that to develop. And it's very stubborn. First thing to do, don't feed the bears. Okay? Don't feed the bears. Don't feed yeast. It needs sugar to survive. And recurring antibiotics is often the cause of interstitial cystitis. Not always, but often is. So all I'm saying is be leery of antibiotics unless you need them. Okay, again. And here's my rule of thumb for antibiotics. You take it, when pain disappears, you stop taking it. This idea, it's an old-fashioned idea of taking antibiotics until they, it often says right on the prescription, take till finished. You know what? They've proven that not to be true. You take an antibiotic if you need it. And when you need it, only until the symptoms subside, and then you stop taking it. That's the newest research on and the reason, the reason is, you might not have killed all that bacteria. The problem is with antibiotics, you guys know this better than anyone else. It wipes out your microbiome. It wipes out it kills the bad guys, but it kills your good guys. 5 days antibiotic can wipe out every good bacteria that you owned. And that's why probiotics are effective, because you're sending troops back into the fight, because they got wiped out. The other ones got wiped out. There shouldn't be ever an antibiotic used without probiotics. Ever. Is that going to happen? Maybe not in my lifetime. It's so hard to get, medicine to change. It's like pulling teeth. It's difficult because they have a narrative and they have the way they're taught, and antibiotics should be taken. And even the College of Physicians and Surgeons all across North America, we're screaming. I remember this. I'm talking 15, 20 years ago when I had a radio show. They were screaming at doctors, would you quit prescribing antibiotics for viruses? The vast majority of sinus and whatever, they're viral. They're not bacterial. And you're giving out, and the college was screaming. But it was like they never got the memo. Because patients, they go, I need an antibiotic. And, well, really, you didn't. But anyway, okay, interstitial cystitis. It's a lot more common in women, and a lot of women have it, and they don't even realize they have it. They think they're getting recurring bladder infections when it's interstitial cystitis. And it's fungal. Okay, Joanne, thank you for the question. Shannon, have you ever heard of methylated vitamins? Yep, multivitamins and that. What do I think? Look, I've been around a long time, okay? So, Shannon, listen. When something's new, okay, and when something starts to get because I see this more often now. Methylated vitamins, better than other vitamins. I'm skeptical, okay? Because it's marketing. There's a lot, and you have to understand, in my days of practice, especially when I had a radio show, every company and their dog wanted me to promote their products. We had a very successful radio show. And, something came across my desk. It seemed like on a daily basis saying, Dr. Martin, I want you to get behind this. Okay? And a lot of it, look, I'm not saying none of it was no good. I'm just saying a lot of it was fluff, meaning lots of marketing strategy. Okay? And I didn't buy it. Listen, I was in practice. I needed results. I had to look my patients in the eyeballs. Okay? I needed to look at my patients in the eyeballs on the follow-up visit, and I better had gotten results. So, yeah, there's a lot of anyway, what do I think of methylated vitamin? No, it's not that much. I think it's... Anyway. Okay, Manik, I'd like to have your input on camelina oil versus olive oil. Well, I thought, okay, and this is just me, okay, because I've heard of camelina oil, I think, one time, but I thought they gave that to horses with oats. I don't know anything about it. Folks, get on here with Monique and tell her what you think, because she's talking about a ratio of omega-6 to omega-3. Look, I love olive oil. I've always loved olive oil. Okay? And olive oil is in the Bible. Like, it's been around a long time, and it's very good for you. I like olive oil. I like bacon better, though, because bacon's got the same oil in it. And it tastes better. No, I don't mind olive oil. I like it. Camelina oil, is that how you say it? Yeah, camelina. I don't know much about it. I never, ever had a patient take it that I remember. And like I said, the only thing I ever read about it was you give it to horses. I don't know why horses would like it. Okay? It's a seed oil. I don't know. You guys know anything about it? You scroll and tell Monique, okay? Tell Monique. Michaela, is unpasteurized honey just as okay as maple syrup? Well, let me just say first of all, okay? When you get pure maple syrup, okay, pure, not Aunt Jemima. Oh, they changed the name of that, isn't it? They don't call it Aunt Jemima anymore. Anywho, okay? True blue Canadian maple syrup, okay? I used to love that as a kid, maple syrup. Look, let me tell you this, okay? And unpasteurized honey. Be careful with it. We live in a different world. What do I mean by that? 93% of the population have trouble with insulin. Okay? So I want you to limit, if you're in that 93%, you need to limit maple syrup, even if it's true blue, Canadian, I don't know, Americans must have maple syrup too. But I know Canada has got real good maple syrup. Okay? I like it. I love the taste of it. Look at this face. I don't take a lot of maple syrup. Okay? I don't. When we were kids, at maple syrup season, we get that, what was the name of it? Anyway, it was the best tasting, and I'd make toast. And I just put that toast right in the maple syrup. I mean, just love that stuff. Okay? But you got to be careful, even with unpasteurized honey. If you're in that 93%, you got to be careful, okay? And now there's some benefits, like to the honey especially, vitamin-wise and mineral-wise and for your immune system, that kind of thing. But be careful. That's all I'm saying. Very limited and certainly not on the reset. Now, if you want to give kids some true blue maple syrup or unpasteurized honey in their Dr. Martin's Perfect Smoothie, go for it. I'm all for that. Make that smoothie really good tasting, and boy, oh boy, that's good for those kids, okay? But if you're in the 93% that have trouble with insulin, be careful. That's all I'm telling you, okay? Now, Maria. I've been wanting to do a parasite candida cleanse for a while using wormwood and a few other things. Well, hopefully we're going to be able to get our parasite and candida cleanse, which, man, oh man, it was so good, back on the market, okay? But let me say this, okay, about parasites and candida. One, don't feed them. If you don't feed them, they're going to die. Two, broad spectrum probiotics, especially if you look at our immune formula in there, it's characterized by the addition of L. reuteri and L. rhamnosus. There's a reason for those two strains. They kill parasites and candida. Okay? Now, the problem with parasites is they love tissue. Okay? It's not just blood. They get into tissue. They love to get into your brain. And yeast, they love to get not only into blood, but into tissue, and they love to get into your brain. As a matter of fact, yeast will be a carrier of heavy metals into your brain. So there's good reasons to go after them. But I'm telling you, number one is don't feed them. I don't care what you take. If you eat sugar, you're feeding the bears. Don't feed the bears. And secondly, broad spectrum probiotics with certain strains are very effective at killing. Okay? Okay. Very good. Oh, Maria asked another part. Okay. When I did, and this is, there's two Marias. It's got to be the same one. Second question. Dairy was off limits, Maria is saying, when she, you must have read that online somewhere or whatever. You can't have dairy. That is nonsense. Okay, Maria? Nonsense. Cheese don't feed candida. Cheese helps to kill it. They starve to death. Parasites don't like cheese. They like sugar. Okay? So anyone that told you that, Maria, I read, somebody asked me the question a couple of weeks ago, like, what about eggs? Like, eggs, aren't they bad for a detox? Or what are the best thing you can eat? Besides steak, eggs, meat, and cheese. Eggs, meat, and cheese. Okay. Thank you, Maria. Lisa, is flaxseed okay if you have hypothyroidism? Why not? There's no reason you wouldn't take flaxseed. Why do I like flaxseed? Because it lowers your estrogen dominance, which has a major effect on hypothyroidism. Remember, too much estrogen, the thyroid slows to a crawl. Okay? The thyroid slows to a crawl. By the way, new study out. You know what lowers your estrogen dominance? Flaxseed, yep. Another win for coffee. It lowers estrogen dominance. Okay. Rita, I've heard that 40 bone, a type of collagen, is best for bones for those with osteoporosis. I like collagen. Here's the difference, okay? You're in a health food store and you're seeing collagen supplements, okay? They're called collagen peptides, okay? Collagen is a protein that makes up a huge part of your body. Do I like it? Yep, I like it. Why do I like bone broth more? Because bone broth has more nutrients. Doesn't just have collagen protein. It has all your B vitamins and all your it's got your minerals. Bone broth is superior to just taking a collagen peptide. So if you make your own bone broth, we make bone broth, hey, I love it. We were talking the other day. I was talking to my granddaughter, okay, because she was asking me questions about bone broth. And I said, well, you know what? I got to tell you that in my office for years, when I gave a patient bone broth, a lot of them came back. I mean, on the second visit or the third visit or whatever. And they said, you know what my hairdresser said? Boy, your hair's starting to get a lot thicker. It's growing again. And, never argue with a hairdresser. Okay? No, but they used to say, what are you doing? And I said, well, Dr. Martin put me on bone broth. Well, I probably put them on bone broth for their gut. It helps because of L-glutamine. It helps to heal their gut. And then it fixes your hair, nails, and skin. Okay, let me get to another question here. Thank you very much. Rita, Shelley, I've had gallstones for 30 years with no flare-ups. Well, good for you. When eating EMC, will the gallstones stay the same or break down? Well, listen, I'm going to tell you why. I actually posted this, I think, yesterday or the day before. The reason you get gallstones is because you either use your gallbladder or you lose your gallbladder. Use it or lose it. Your gallbladder is meant, it's a little reservoir for your bile. Gallbladder don't make bile. Gallbladder holds onto bile. Your liver makes bile. You need bile because bile helps to emulsify your fat. And bile actually helps with your pH in your gut. Okay? In the small intestine. It's really, you need bile, but your liver makes it. So if you got gallstones, Shelley, it's because you were eating chicken and salad. That's how you get gallstones. Plus, you're a woman. Oh, doctor. Well, if you get estrogen dominant and your progesterone is not high enough to balance out your estrogen, it affects your smooth muscle, bladder, interstitial cystitis, too much estrogen, you're too much of a woman, compared to the pro-baby hormone, progesterone. Okay? You need that balance. And smooth muscle is affected by it. Gallbladder, bladder. Okay? So women, you get a double whammy. You don't eat fat because you thought that fat was bad for you. And you eat fat-free yogurt and chicken and salad instead of eating eggs, meat, and cheese because you thought that was fattening. Well, you were wrong. I still love you. You were wrong, and you formed gallstones because you weren't that bile that's sitting in that little reservoir, your gallbladder, was not being poured out because you weren't eating fat. Use it or lose it. You got stones. Well, yeah, I mean, a lot of stones can dissolve on their own. The only concern I have about stones is they get caught in a duct, okay, especially off to the pancreas, okay, because your gallbladder and your pancreas are connected through a duct, and you don't want that to get that stone to move in there. But the best way not to get stones in the first place is to eat eggs, meat, and cheese. Now, there is some, anecdotal evidence that drinking olive oil helps to dissolve stones. You know, maybe a tablespoon or two a day. Try it. Okay. Thanks for the question. We appreciate it. You have no idea. Okay, Shelley, Louise, what is the lower number on blood pressure? The lower number is diastolic, systolic, diastolic. Normal blood pressure, 120/80. Okay, when the heart pumps the blood, okay, that is your systolic, and diastolic is when your heart, it's in between those beats. So, okay, systolic, and rest, diastolic. And it should be 120/80. Now, here's me. Here's when I'm concerned, and here's what I believe is true high blood pressure. Look, I'm not concerned about your first number, the power. It's the second number I really look at, okay? Because if that's 90 or over, that's high blood pressure, okay? That's high blood pressure. Now, let me just say this. The vast majority of time that people get high blood pressure is because they're carboholics. They love sugar. That affects kidneys. Sugar makes the kidneys hold on to water and salt. And that causes one of the major causes of high blood pressure. Okay? Do the reset. Thank you for the question, Louise. And two Louises, or maybe it's the same one. I don't know. Can a person take too much cortisol? I take 8 or 9 per day. Well, if it's working. I've had people take more than that temporarily because they were going through a major crisis of anxiety or whatever. Cortisol is this, guys. Okay? You don't sleep, your cortisol goes up. Your cortisol goes up, you don't sleep. The lowest hanging fruit for cortisol is sleep. Okay? That's why I aim there. Okay? It's important. But exercise, tremendous for cortisol. It really is. If you're walking, your cortisol can hardly be elevated. If you're going to the gym, cortisol can be has a hard time being elevated. That's why, and I was talking the other day about the connection between exercise, vitamin E, and depression. If we could only get people, even if they didn't feel like it, well, they're depressed, they don't feel like it, to exercise, to go to the gym or go for a walk. They've shown it's amazing. It's better than any SSRI. But you got to get compliant. Okay? Good questions. Thank you very much. Deb is told, I was told that vitamin D is not good for someone with sarcoidosis, which is an autoimmune. No, listen, I understand why they say it, but they don't understand vitamin D. It makes me angry. No, hangry. Okay? It bugs me. It bugs me. Here's their reasoning. Isn't it crazy? Okay, isn't it crazy when you hear something like that? Okay, hold on. Deb, when you hear something like that, it's crazy. But here's why. The same people that tell you you shouldn't take vitamin D with sarcoidosis were the same people not even telling you to take vitamin D when the virus was around. What am I saying? Well, on one hand, they said, oh, that does nothing for your immune system. And then you get an autoimmune. Oh, that's going to boost your immune system. And you have autoimmune. You don't want to boost your immune system. I get a headache. I get a headache from the stupidity. It gives me a migraine. Vitamin D, like when they think of immune system, your immune system doesn't just fight viruses and bacteria and whatever. Your immune system is a complex. And you don't worry if you have autoimmune. Oh, I don't want to boost my immune system. No, you're allergic to yourself. That's what it is. And vitamin D lowers all markers of inflammation. Look, everybody and their dog needs vitamin D. Everyone. There's no exceptions to it. The sun, vitamin D. And if you're not in the sun, look, with sarcoidosis, I put patients on high doses of vitamin D when I was in practice. Because they usually were very low in vitamin D when they took your dehydroxy numbers, your vitamin D numbers in your serum. Oh, that makes me get a headache. Share. Have you heard of Pura Vive? Pura Vive. They claim it to be a natural weight loss pill. Run. Share. Okay? Run. When they tell you, take a pill, and it's gonna, look, you can, well, I'll tell you. Look at the thing that's coming down the pipe, and you want to talk about getting Dr. Martin. My cortisol goes through the roof when I hear about Ozempic and Wegovy or whatever they call it. Oh, it's a designer drug to lose weight, and it works. Yeah, it does. Temporarily, and you're going to destroy your life. I have read and I've seen patients back then took that kind of stuff and they had digestive problems the rest of their life. And plus, any magic weight loss, you're going to lose water and you're going to lose muscle, not fat. And you will be on a yo-yo and it will come back. The best weight loss is not calories, it's insulin. And we talked yesterday quite a while on the effects of insulin. Insulin does two things. One, takes sugar out of the bloodstream, the traffic cop. Out, you can't stay there. Second, it's a park. It's a parker. It's the parking lot attendant. Come here, sugar. And now I'm going to store you as fat. So at the end of the day, you want to lose fat, not muscle. Dr. Martin, I only lost a pound. I wanted to go faster. And I showed them a pound. And then I showed them 5 pounds. And I said, you know how good that is for you? Will you get off the stinking scale? And quit living your life on the scale. I want you to be healthy. Healthy weight loss. And when you feed your body the right food, not a magic pill, okay? Not a magic pill. When you eat the right food, your body was designed for eggs, meat, and cheese. And if you have a cow in the backyard, you can even drink milk. But your body is made for that. Your body thrives in that. And no one in the universe ever got fat eating eggs, meat, and cheese. You know how you get fat? When you're using insulin all the time. Because insulin is a fat storing hormone. Why do I aim at insulin all the time? It's hard to convince people because here's doctors. Move more and eat less. Weight Watchers. Move more, eat less. Jenny Craig. Move more, eat less. And eat our foods. Make money. Ice cream. I do. I can't stand it. That's not the key, because that's yo-yo. You want to move more and eat less? Okay. But you're not going to sustain that. People that are carboholics? No. You have to change fuels. Yesterday I talked about burning fat. It's called ketosis. I don't like the ketotic diet per se, because when people tell me about that, they're talking about all these processed foods and I can eat this and I can eat that. I don't like that. Anywho, the key is insulin, and I get too excited. And thank you, Cher. And to be honest, Cher, I don't Purivive or whatever it's called. I don't know anything about it. I've never heard about it. Okay, so if you want to send me literature on it or whatever, well, send it to me. I'll read it. But I'm telling you, there ain't no magic. Okay? There ain't no magic. Okay. My father just passed away. And sorry about that, Tina. You only get one father. You only get one mother. Okay? I'm always very sympathetic. Okay. How does plaque build up in the arteries? Well, look, if I could do a whole show. But it ain't cholesterol. That I'm going to tell you. Cholesterol, blaming cholesterol for plaque is like blaming the police because they're at the crime scene. They're not the bad guys. Cholesterol is always flowing through your blood. It better be. Or you're not going to live. You can't live without cholesterol. And God don't trust you. God provides 85% of your cholesterol. He's asking you to chip in 15%. Cooperate. Cooperate with God. Your body was built to eat cholesterol. And cholesterol, the reason it gets a bad rap is because it's the animal kingdom. And you got people, Dr. Kellogg's, Dr. Ansel Keys, people like him who hated cholesterol. And they brought you cereal. Now that gives me another headache. Anyway, plaque, okay? You know what? You know what gets rid of plaque? Eggs, meat, and cheese. You know why? Because in eggs, meat, and cheese, you have calcium with vitamin K2. K2 takes calcium and it doesn't let it harden in your blood vessels. And another way too, by the way, is magnesium when you're low in magnesium. Okay? your blood vessels stiffen up because calcium takes over. That's why I love eggs, meat, cheese. It's got calcium plus vitamin K2 to put the calcium where it belongs. Take calcium out of your blood vessels because calcium don't belong in your blood vessel. Well, not too much of it because it'll harden your blood vessels. Anyway, I could spend, and inflammation is involved in that. Okay? Inflammation is involved because inflammation is, you got an infection or whatever, okay. It's your body's ambulance system. But if inflammation, it sees plaque developing, inflammation will go there to repair it, and that can be disaster. And you start forming plaque. Okay? So, what's one of the best things you do? Eggs, meat, and cheese. Supplement, high DHA. It lubricates. Vitamin D with K2. It lubricates. Okay? Anyway, I got excited. Okay. I think what we're going to do is we're going to, and let me just see how many more questions I got, and we can do a question, and, oh yeah, I'll never get done. Holy moly. Okay. Yeah, I got some good questions. I'm just reading them here. And you know what? We got to do another session, so let's do that. Angie's asking a personal question about me. How much do I take? Since flax seeds can go rancid quickly. Tina, that's not true. Flax seeds don't go rancid. Flax oil goes rancid quickly. That's why I don't like flax oil. I like flax seeds. They don't go rancid. Okay? Not easily. Okay, guys. Yeah, we'll answer the rest of your question. Okay. I'm breathing. Okay? I'm back to me. Because sometimes my blood pressure goes up. I'm glad you guys asked those questions because I get a workout just answering them. I get so uptight about some of the, not your questions, about some of the things that they teach out there. Drives me mental. Okay. Guys, once again, can I just pump your tires? Okay. You're the best audience. My audience, the smartest by far. I boast to other doctors about you. Okay. Thank you for making this the #1 Canadian health podcast. Okay? We got over 4 million downloads. Okay? That's you guys. Share. Okay? Share. Sherry. Oh, I want to sing. No, share. Share this. Okay? And if you want to listen to this again, it's going to be on your smartphone. Sign up wherever you listen to podcasts, okay? And you can re-listen, or you can get your friends to listen to the Dr. Is In podcast, okay? Now, that's enough advertising for me. I just wanted to tell you that. Okay, we love you guys. Talk to you soon.